What is the best case of you just fricked with the wrong person you've witnessed? Interesting face. Not unattractive, just extremely unique, and she was self-conscious about it. She was cool AF, and everyone, including the teachers, really liked her. I was chatting with her in the hall one day between class when some new kid decided to tease her for it. She's cool. Tells him to please stop. He keeps going. She tells him to frick off. He keeps going. She finally has it and chases this kid down the hallway, tackles him, slams him into the ground. The students and teachers pretended not to notice. Kid never bothered her or anyone again. Robbers tried to get our house for a third time. Dad was home. They were chased down the block from a 6 feet 240 pounds naked man wielding a 5-foot sword. Cops caught the kid, returned dad home. We were never robbed again. Late, but why the hell does your dad have a sword? Also, what kind of sword was it? Guns were stolen. That explains a fair bit. Leaving of a bar, a girl from martial arts class was walking several paces ahead of our group with a couple of her friends. There were two guys standing ahead of where we were all walking, and we could see that they were sort of eyeing the girls that were walking their direction. When the martial arts girl walked past, one of the guys reached out and grabbed her by the arm and tried to drag her over towards him. No hoop. She gave a nice little instep and drove her heel right on top his foot, then punched him square in the solar plexus. She is a black belt and cold seriously fricked this guy up if she felt like it, but she understands what her training is for. It was the best example I've ever seen of anyone using their martial arts training. I wrestled in high school. There was a heavyweight that thought he was a shit. We see he was the biggest person on the team at 260 lbs in a friendly match with the 182. He cross-faced him, basically punched him in the nose. MR 182 proceeded to stand straight up and throw the HWT over his shoulder with ease and pull him across the mat by his ankle with one hand. The HWT didn't try him anymore. When I was a teen, I went to a mall with a friend. We were eating in the food court when a little Asian man, like 5 feet 5 inches, was getting a strip torn off him by the blonde who appeared to be his girlfriend. She ran off, and the fella went after her saying he was sorry. Like some kind of magic, 4 other men appeared and surrounded the little guy. They were all 6 feet tall and well built. It turns out they were the girl's family and wanted to settle the score or some such thing. To this day, the only time I have seen a knockout that fast was in MMA. The little guy beat all 4 of the bigger men in a matter of moments. It still is the wildest fight I have ever witnessed with a Mark 1 eyeball. Had a buddy who was friends with this big ol' redneck firefighter. In high school, apparently some kid was starting shit with him. Most likely had some sort of developmental disorder. It was high school, everyone was whack. Anyways, this kid hits the firefighter with a sucker punch at point blank range square in the jaw. Firefighter boy pushed him off, pointed his finger at him, and said rethink that decision. I don't know why, but that story was freaking chilling the first time I heard it. That's like some Naruto shit right there, man. It's crazy. Reminds of something that happened to me. I was in kickboxing class sparring with an overgrown 15-year-old kid. It was supposed to be an on-contact hand drill. Instead, the kid whacks me straight in the nose. I told him to calm down and focus on his form. 20 seconds later, he smacks me right in the nose again, and a little trickle of blood started coming out of my left nostril. I looked at him and said, "Kid, please don't do that again. You are really beginning to piss me off." He was very careful not to touch my face from that point on. I watched a redneck get his ass kicked by a gay man because he was taunting him and calling him names. Never witnessed a more well-deserved and thorough ass whooping. Happened in front of the redneck's girlfriend, which only added to my satisfaction. Both my former speech and debate professor and his husband do drag on the side. His reward for us at a regional event was that if we won, he would do his Liza routine, 15-20 minimum bit, in full drag at the end of the event's evening party. We won. Something he said to the crowd after his bit has always stuck with me. He more or less said never frick with a drag queen, because under that wig, or that makeup, dress and heels is typically a very fit man who exudes more confidence in one night than most men will ever in their entire life. In short, she will kick your ass and her friends will join in too. Throwaway because what happened is a little weird. So, about 10 years ago, while I was still living in Mexico, I had a situation happen that, to this day, makes me think. I was not much of a party person, but my brother was. We were not rich either, or thought we had connections. Anyways, one day, my brother goes out to a party at a club. He's about 5 feet 10, tall in Mexico, very strong as he loved going to the gym, and he knows how to fight. One of his friends, in a drunken mistakes, picks up a fight with some rich boy, to which a person at the club approaches my brother and tells him, dude, your friend is picking a fight with the wrong guy. Turns out, he was related to some gang or even cartel. My brother then proceeds to go separate his friend, but at this time, the bouncers of the club have already started mobilizing and kicking people out. The main bouncer was this tall dude who used to do MMA, and he's trying to get my brother to move quicker. My brother has his arms raised and walking to the exit, but this dude is trying to bring him down, kicking his legs, punching his torso, just to abuse his power. He can't, and as my brother is getting out, the dude runs ahead of him, turns around, and leap kicks my brother in the face, breaking his nose. My brother does not fall, and just walks to his car and drives home. The next day, after going to the hospital, he talks with my dad, telling him what happened, and we leave it at that. 2 weeks later, my dad calls my brother and tells us the next, hey man, so you don't have to worry about this guy anymore. I was at a high school reunion with some friends and the topic came up. I talked to an old friend of mine that seemed interested in what happened, and then he told me, don't worry, I got you covered. I didn't think much of this. I hadn't seen him in a while, so not sure what he was saying, but and as he finishes the story, he shows us a picture of the bouncer, beaten to hell, tied up to the train tracks. Brother and I were freaked the hell out. That next weekend, he went back to the club. The bouncer that broke his nose instantly passed him to a table, served them some drinks, and apologized to him, telling him that anything he needed, to just ask. That was the freakiest thing I have ever witnessed. Mayfair, I bet. When I was in middle school, a pair of guys were going around forcibly kissing girls as part of a bet. One of them did this to me, and without even thinking, I punched him in the face. He was on the floor, hand over his face, blood pouring from between his fingers, and looking utterly shell-shocked. I looked around, and there were no witnesses, so I leaned in and snapped, you're not going to tell anyone about this, are you? Or I'll break something else. He shook his head rapidly, and I ran off to tell a teacher that I saw a student fall face first. About a week later, I saw him again at school, and he had some kind of cast/guard across his nose. The color drained from his face when we made eye contact. I still feel guilty. I still feel guilty. Don't. Back in high school, there was this small younger student who had something to prove. He was constantly trying to pick fights, particularly with people bigger or stronger than him for a while, and eventually he chose the wrong target. He went up to one of my classmates, a senior, and started harassing him. He'd hit him up a few times before, just talking shit, and got laughed off every time because hell, it's just words. I guess he said something really crude about the guy's girlfriend though as they got to the main entrance to the school. He finally got his fight with the captain of the school weightlifting team who also leads the local school-aged rugby team. The teacher break room was right there, as well as the principal's office, and half the school was headed that way to walk out with them ahead of us, and 5 teachers watching. So, we had a pretty good audience to see this guy pick up the annoying little shit with one hand around his throat, hold him up in the air, and then slam him down to the ground, like he was celebrating a touchdown with him as the football. Dude dusted off his hands then stepped backwards to wait for his punishment. It took like 10 seconds for anyone to even move because the teachers were completely blown away. Several different teachers independently assumed at first that they were just playing around or something, and then realized that this guy had just been smote like a toddler trying to fight Zeus. There wasn't even a fight to break up. The guy was walking funny for a month afterwards because every part of him was bruised on the back, and he shut the hell up for, I gotta say, like at least a month. My mom had this phone call on speaker. An insurance customer service agent was refusing to fax proof of insurance to the year my sister was in because it was after hours. We'll fax it in the morning. It was in fact the middle of the night, but my sister was in Spain where it was early evening and they were refusing to treat her until they got proof of insurance. My mom said, this plan is through my employer, which employs people traveling all over the world who are all on this plan. It was chosen specifically to deal with this sort of situation. The agent refused to budge. My mom asked for a supervisor. No one is available. Call again in the morning. My mom then said, well, you're going to want to wake someone up or just send that fax, because I'm the person who makes the decision on what insurance plan my company uses. When I take all 50,000 people and their dependents off that plan, I will name you personally to your company. When I do so, if you think I'm kidding, I suggest you Google my name. A quick Google result shows that she is in fact in a position to do exactly what she said. They faxed the paperwork within 10 minutes. My mom still called the vice president of whatever at the company the next day and told them that if she heard about this happening to any of her company's employees, they would be looking at other companies. I have never ever seen her pull any sort of power play in my entire life, not until her daughter's health was threatened. Okay, but also like, hell freaking yeah, that she went that extra step to contact that company's higher ups so no one else would have to deal with that shit either. You have a message from the big guy. Join the Discord customer big guy. Link in description.